KREM 2 News at Noon begins now.
2 people were caught by Washington State Police for stealing copper wiring. We'll share how much damage they caused.
And the weather is much cooler as of today, but that heat will soon pour back on later on this week.
And tryouts are starting right now for a new inclusive pro soccer team right here in Spokane. What you need to know about joining the team. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us here on KREM 2 News at Noon. I'm Laura Papetti, and we begin today by talking about the weather. Boy, what a change a day makes, Thomas.
Sure does.
So hot yesterday, pretty mild today, but still some heavy winds. So let's start there.
Yeah, I know the winds are still a bit on the breezy side, but they are starting to calm down just little by little. I think it does stay breezy for the rest of the day with 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, but not to the point where it's going to prompt any kind of wind advisories. And with the temperatures down and thankfully the humidity up a little bit, we're not under red flag warnings either. So a much more comfortable day if you can get by some of the winds. But temperature-wise, this is pretty nice at 71 currently in Spokane, 69 Spokane Valley, and a lot cooler than it was at this point yesterday. There's the temperature comparison, about 15 degrees lower today compared to yesterday. And by the way, if you were wondering, yesterday we got up to 92 degrees. So if you take 15 off of that, that would put us at 77 for this afternoon, which is the forecast, by the way. I mentioned the humidity's up a little bit. There was this upper air disturbance over far north Idaho early on this morning. That continues to slide a little bit eastward. It's all fully over Montana as of right now. So we do have mostly sunny skies to work with. And again, that slightly cooler air still filtering in on the backs of those northeasterly winds. So high of 77 today and a low of 55 tonight. Very refreshing, very comfortable weather before the heat comes back into play later on in the week. As we approach those hottest days of July, the 90s are going to get a lot more common. And I'll show you how many days I'm already forecasting in the 90s after this slightly cooler day, all coming up.
All right, my friend, thank you. Level 2 and level 3 evacuation orders are now downgraded to level 1 for a fire burning near the Omak Airport. Now, that fire is called the Green Acres Fire, and it started yesterday afternoon at about 3 o'clock. The National Interagency Fire Center website says the fire has already burned about 500 acres. The Okanagan County Sheriff's Office says the winds knocked down trees, power lines, and phone lines in that area, so you can imagine how challenging that is for firefighters. There is heavy fire personnel and equipment traffic in the area, replacing power poles along the roadways. If you need help or lost a structure in the fire, you can call this number, 509-422-7348. That is the Okanagan County Emergency Management number. We also have that number on our website, krem.com, if you need help. And today, fire crews have the Western Pines fire near Davenport about 12% contained. More than 400 first responders from multiple agencies are tackling the nearly 6,000-acre wildfire. Level 1 and level 3 evacuation notices are still in effect for some areas. Crews are battling steep terrain and weather conditions. They faced high winds overnight, making it difficult for crews to even communicate with each other.
The first few days was just being able to set up our own repeaters for radios to be able to get communication out and making sure everybody is safe and on the same page.
Should be noted, despite the fire, community members are standing strong. Spokane County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man yesterday for reckless burning and drug possession. Deputies responded to a reported brush fire near a home on East Hastings Road. When they got there, they arrested a man running from the area. Deputies searched him and they say they found a lighter and a bag of what is believed to be meth. He was charged with second-degree reckless burning and 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance. All right. We continue with continuing coverage this afternoon. 2 people have been arrested for a vandalism spree on WashDOT electrical boxes, stealing the copper wiring. Now, we first told you about this on Up with KREM earlier this month. Washington State Patrol says the crimes happened from June 6th and July 8th across Spokane County. It cost about $168,000 in damages. Police were able to find the suspect's car in Spokane County. And today, a veteran officer from the Pierce County Sheriff's Department is on paid administrative leave. He is under investigation for a DUI crash. The Washington State Patrol says Major Chad Dickerson was off duty and allegedly driving under the influence on Saturday. He hit an SUV with 3 adults and 3 children inside. He and the other driver suffered multiple broken bones. Dickerson was arrested on suspicion of vehicular assault. He's been with the Sheriff's Department for 24 years.
If there was a law violation here, then Major Dickerson will be held to the highest standard here at the agency and also within the court system itself.
Now, deputies who responded to the crash say they saw no signs of intoxication. However, a WSP trooper who later arrived said Dickerson had bloodshot eyes and smelled of alcohol. Dickerson refused a sobriety test and had blood drawn instead. Prosecutors are awaiting the results and will be reviewing body camera footage. Dickerson is due back in court tomorrow. And we learned that another man drowned in Pomeroy County yesterday morning. David Harvey died in Davis Lake. A woman called the sheriff's office and said her friend fell into the lake while fishing. She said she wasn't able to get him out of the water. The sheriff's office dive team recovered the body. David was 61 years old and from Newport. The numbers from the January point-in-time count are the number of people experiencing homelessness in Spokane County, and those numbers went down. The count dropped by almost 400 people. Now, the city says they believe their new navigation center and scattered shelter model helped. Since the count, the city says they've had an 80% success rate in referrals to housing. All right, the first tryouts for Spokane's new soccer team is happening right now. This is part of a new league established for athletes with intellectual and developmental disabilities. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones was at Liberty Lake and has what you should know about joining the team.
Well, how cool of an opportunity to have something like this here in our community. This will be the first of 2 tryouts this week for the Spokane Impact. They'll be here at the Hub Sports Complex from 12 until 2, so noon until 2 p.m. They'll be holding these tryouts, hoping to build a new team. So the Spokane Impact, this is a part of a nationwide league known as Project Impact, and Spokane is one of 4 inaugural cities that is going to have a team of this type of capacity. So again, exciting times here in Spokane. We got 3 key notes I want to point out to you. Players must provide documentation showing intellectual disability or Down syndrome if you want to try out and be on the team. Players must have been at least turned 16, and then players must also possess a minimum soccer skill score of 3 and Special Olympics rating form or equivalent. So if you're interested or you know an athlete that might be interested in playing on this team, you can find more information at KREM.com. But for now, reporting here in Liberty Lake, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Happening today, President Trump heads to Pittsburgh to focus on domestic energy and tech development while his administration ramps up its tariff policy. The Commerce Department announced a 17% tariff on most imported tomatoes from Mexico. This comes after Mexico backed out of a 2019 anti-dumping duty agreement. Mexico's government called it unfair. According to the Florida Tomato Exchange, the U.S. currently gets about 70% of its tomatoes from Mexico. The president is also threatening to slap a 100% tariff on countries that buy Russian oil and gas if the Kremlin does not reach a peace deal with Ukraine within 50 days. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson released a statement about these latest tariff announcements. He said in part, quote, "Washington is one of the most trade-dependent states in the nation, and we are already seeing the impacts of this reckless trade agenda." Ferguson also said traffic at Washington ports is down, and there's been a big drop, he says, in agricultural shipments.